Hi and welcome to this Onshape tutorial. Today we're going to look at the sheet metal features in Onshape and we're going to concentrate on creating this design in the top left hand corner. So as you can see on here we've got this sheet metal bull, and if we click on this option here we can see an overview of the net or the flat version of that once this design's been flattened out. So actually creating this is relatively straightforward if we go through a series of stages. Using the standard sheet metal tools here, we could create this design, but it would actually be quite a challenge and quite complex. So what I'm going to do is use an alternative. If you go into the options here, you can see I've got loads of different extra options, and what we're going to look for is the fold SM, so fold sheet metal. The way you add that is you go add on custom features, type in sheet metal, if I could spell sheet metal fold, and search for that. Once the results come up, what you're looking for is sheet metal fold, and then maybe at the time when you look, it might be a version 2, at the moment it's version 1, and if you click that, you can click on this icon here and that will add it. So as you see, what it'll probably do, come up with a warning, and there you go, it says that's been added. And if we click on the X, that tool has been added onto our list. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how do we do this. So I'm going to roll this back, and we're going to see what we've actually got. So on here we have an image, which I've imported in to a sketch, and then I've scaled that, and then what I've done is I've traced around it, using the straight line tool, and I actually traced around half of it. So I went around here, all the way around, and then I mirrored this using the center line there. So if you create a design that's the same both sides, so top and bottom, that's an easy way to do it. Otherwise you'd have to continue and go around and trace that. And then what I did then is I converted that into a sheet metal part, and then we're going to start to add the folds. So if we go over here to the tutorial, you can see I've inserted the images for you, and I've also traced around that. You could hide this one, or you can even delete it if you wanted to, and then you could trace around it yourself. And also if we have a look in here and go edit, you can see I've just done this freehand. I've not added any particular dimensions. That would be easy to do if you wanted to click the dimension tool at the top, and you can go in and you can add certain dimensions if you want. But I've done that sort of freehand, and I've traced around that net. And what I've done is I've not added any of these sort of cuts or anything like that. I've just gone around these simply around the profile to create this here. So how do you insert the image? So we'll decide those for now, and then I'll quickly show you how you insert an image. So you click on sketch, you decide on what work plane you want to select, select it as normal, and then we have an option up here where you can go insert image. Now I've inserted it already by clicking import, and then it will appear down here, and you can click that, and what you do is you drag a box out like so, and if you turn on say your planes and origin, my idea is if I was moving this is I would try and get this in the middle, like that, so I'm not, for example, way off the origin. I've got that nicely in the middle. And then you can use the dimension tools to give this an overall dimension if you wish. However, the problem with that is that it's looking at the entire envelope of that. It's not actually looking at the actual size of that image. So what I did is I inserted a line along there. I decided on the size of that line, so for example it might be 200. And I'm going to dimension it from that point to the center, if I could select it. So just do that again. It's just been a bit funny So if I click on that one, okay, to there we go. And then what I did is I then used this overall dimension here and I increased sort of the size of that, and I moved this around like so until I sort of got the overall sort of size. So you can see a little bit like that. Okay, so that's how you could sort of dimension it, by drawing a line or a series of lines and then creating the overall dimension and adjusting the overall dimension and moving this until you get it to a defined size. So I'm just going to click on X because I've done all that for you, and as you can see here I've even traced around it. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to use the standard sheet metal mode, and we're going to, if I have a look over here, so we make sure we go through the processes. Okay, I've included all the features, so the horns and the tail, okay, and everything. So we're going to go to thicken, and I'm going to click on these, and I'm going to select those features there. We do have lots of options in here which we've covered before. I'm going to leave this at say 1.5 for the thickness. The bend radius we could always override, if we wish, when we add the bends, so we could just leave that in for now, and we don't need to worry too much about these options in here at the moment. We could always change the corner relief, so I could, for example, click that as say simple for now and just leave that like so. So I've selected simple and we can leave it like that. We could always go back in later on. So I've got my sheet metal net there, as you can see, and what we're going to do now is start to add some bends. So the way we're going to do that is to use the tool that we've imported, and let's have a look at sort of the order I created this. So if you're designing something that's quite complex like this, it's got lots of geometry and different shapes, you may have to bend your design in a different order, and it's just about experimenting. So I found that, for example, when I started to bend the legs, it would start affecting sort of this area of the head here. So it all depends on your design. So let's have a look what I did. I inserted, let's have a look at this, so sketch along its back for the legs. I then inserted another sketch for the ears or the horns, and then I've inserted a sketch just behind this here. And then what I did then is I started to fold out these horns. So we'll do that in a tutorial. That's quite easy to do. I'm going to click on that top surface and click sketch. I'm going to press N to normalise that, and I'm going to go in here and add a line, and I'm going to go for say at that point there to the tail, and I'm going to go from this opposite one as well to there, and let's have a look. We're going to put in between these as well, and just let me check what I did. Yeah, just behind those, and I put one in here as well. What I found as well, what's important is that if you're going to add extra ones like down here and maybe the tail and stuff like that, is to add those later, because when you bend certain parts, the sketches will not follow the bends, and you'll see that later. So I'm just going to save that, and we'll have a go. So I've done all those in one sketch. You could separate them out into separate sketches, so you could do a separate sketch for each one if you wish. And let's have a look at what we've applied. So let's have a look at the angle. So I decided to bend that upwards, 45 degrees, and I did that for each of those horns. So let's go back to this one then. Let's just rotate that and zoom into this area. I'm going to turn off that original sketch so I could just see the sketches on that top surface. So this sketch here. Let's have a look in here. And what we're after is fold sheet metal, So what we'll look at is edges to fold. So I want to fold this edge here. Fixed edge or face. So depending where you're folding, naturally you might select over here. So we'll see how that works. So we may have to select maybe the side. Okay, here. So I'll just type in 45 degrees. I'm going to tick this option. So most of the time you will need to tick this option here. And fix. So I'm going to click this one here and see what happens. Okay. Like that. There you go. So you'll see, okay, it has bent that up as we required. So you could change the angle as well. If you wanted to, you could override the bend radius. So we mentioned before it's 1.5 millimeters. Okay. Then we can then go in here and we can override that. Okay, if we wish, and of course that will start to affect this bend radius here. So you could keep that selected and that will reference what we set before, or you could override it depending on the design. So I'm going to save that. So that's one horn done. Turn that sketch back on, so it automatically turns it off. We're going to go back into the same tool. We're going to select the sketch again. We're going to go for the back of the head. I'm going to type in 45 degrees. Whoops, not enter, sorry. 45 degrees and tick that option, and then you can see there. That's it. Okay, if you wanted to, on some of them you might want to flip down or flip up, and again you've got your angle. You could change the bend, okay, radius again if you wish. So that's the two horns done, which is looking quite cool. If we come back over here, have a look at the next one. And I decided to bend sort of the top of the head down. Let's have a look at the angle. And I'm going for 75, okay, degrees. So if we come back over here, zoom in and out, rotate it, and go to the same option again. So fold, sheet metal option. What do we want to fold this? Okay, we'll go 75. We'll make sure that's selected as well. And we're going to try this face up here. Let's see what that does. So it's not liking that. So what it's trying to do is fold the entire sheet at the back. So this time I'm probably going to select maybe the side. Okay, and flip that. There you go. So before, what it was trying to do is flip all of this up. And you could do that, but then what you're losing is some of the sketches, and you'll lose the sort of the orientation of this main part. So I decided to that top surface, I'll choose the side surface of face, and that's created what I want. Again, you can override the radius if required, and then you can see that's affecting this here. So I could type in 0.5, or I could, okay, keep the radius again I've set in there, and I can confirm that one. Of course, any of these, okay, you can rename. So we could say, okay, horn 1. Okay, rename that horn 2. We can rename that head, like so. So that's good, just to be able to identify them if I decide later to go back in it. Let's have a look what I did next. Is I created a sketch. Oh, up here. Let's just turn that on and turn off. What's that one? See, I put that okay here now, and then I've bent it okay down, and then let's have a look at the angle again. So I decided on 20 degrees. 20 degrees. Okay. So let's go back to here. Let's insert a sketch, and we're going to put a sketch on there, save that, and then we're going to come in again. Okay, whoops, not surface text. Why is it deselected? So come back down here. So depending on where it is on your list, select it. We're going to go that sketch. I'm going to type in my angle. I just totally lost it. I forgot what that is, but we could change it in a minute. Click on that option, and I'm going to click on that. Now you see that's trying to bend that one there instead. I don't want that to actually bend, I want this to bend, so I'm going to get rid of that. and let's try choosing the face there. There you go. And that's created that bend. You see it's sort of brought in, it's removed a bit of material there. This is where you could mess around with, okay, the bend radius, and that might have, you know, improve it. But I'm just going to use the sort of the standard radius I set at the start. So that's important. If you would naturally think I select that face or that face there, and that would stay. If it doesn't work, then just look like a point that's a right angle to that. Okay, maybe one down here, and then you might get the desired outcome. Of course, if I wanted it to go the other way, I could bend it up, but I want to bend it down. And I'm going to name that neck and save that. Cool. So if I just hide, no, I actually leave that one on because I decided, okay, to add it all in one sketch. So you can see here, this might be the problem that you might find. If you do too many of these sketches at the beginning, once you start folding, those sketches will not, follow the fold. They will stay on that, work plane of that surface. So you may have to add sketches, one at a time and bend. So one sketch, bend, and so on. Right, so let's have a look what I did next. Probably the legs. Let's have a look. What did I insert these sketches? If I can actually turn things on would be good. So let's have a look. So I've inserted, sketch there, and is that the tail? Okay, the tail. And then I've bent this down, and let's have a look at our angle. Okay, so I went to sort of 75, degrees. 75, and I guess I just repeated that. Let's have a look for the other side. Yeah, so just repeat that for the other side. So, let's have a look back over here. I've already put sketches in there before. If you haven't, you go sketch, click on the surface, use a straight line tool and add those. So let's have a look at, going for this one. So, one I'm going to fold, that. What do I want to be fixed? Naturally I want to select that. I'm going to type in, say, 75, my angle, click on this one, and then I'm going to click it. Okay, it's bending up, that's not bad. I'll just flip it. Okay, and bend that down. Now you can see the radius here, and it's removing, part of this material at the end. You could override it like we've done before. And that will reduce that, but I'm going to keep to the same, standard I set at the beginning. And of course, decide on your direction and update that. That's looking cool. And again, when you're doing all these, do make sure you check this. So you're checking out, that there's no sort of intersecting, flanges or tabs or whatever. It's all looking good. And then I'm going to spin this around, and I'm going to do the same thing again. So edges to fold, that sketch. I'm going to type in my angle. I'm going to click this option here, and I'm going to click the top of the, basically like its back or whatever. And again, flip, that down, and update that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename them actually. Is just going to turn that off. Hey, looking good. So let's have a look. Let's turn him to the front, and then that fold would be the, well, if you're looking at the front of it, you could say the right leg, and then you could say this one's the left leg. Like that. So if you need to make any adjustments, we know which is which, and of course if you select it, it highlights it on there as well. So once we've sorted out the legs, we're going to just do, say, the snout down here. We click on sketch again, and we're going to flatten that. So press N. We're going to draw a line between these 2 points here. I'm going to basically, have a go at bending that again. So let's go up to, let's confirm that sketch. Let's set this option of fold sheet metal. what do we want to fold along that line there? And let's select this one here, and let's flip it using this option here. Now you see again it's flipped in the entire thing. We don't want to do that, so I'm going to select that face there. There we go. So we flip that behind. Again, you can override the radius if you wish, but I'm going to keep it as standard, and I've gone for a 90-degree bend so it comes around here. You could change that again depending on what you want to achieve, so maybe that might work better, 120 degrees maybe, and then we can confirm that. And then the last thing, which I found to be the trickiest, was the tail. And you see here, if we have a look at this tail, I tried to create a little sketch. So along this sort of edge here, tried bending it from there. It was a little bit tricky, so I found that if I bend it a little bit further up and messed around with the radius, that did bend. And we create a sketch on, let's have a look, create a sketch. We could create a sketch underneath, we could create on top, so I'm going to have a go, I'm going to do this underneath actually. On there, create a sketch, let it snap between those two, press N to flatten this as well. Like that. I can dimension it, so I would type in say 13 millimeters. Confirm that sketch. Of course you could give it a name, so you could name that tail bend sketch or something like that. We're then going to go into here again, fold sheet metal, let's have a go, let's see if we can bend this. So if we go up to here and select the sketch, we then click on the face that we want to keep static. We try that one, apply that, and see if it bends. You see, whoops, so we see we've got it bending the opposite way like that. And I did have this issue before, and I've tried flipping it and it wouldn't go. So if I override the bend allowance, you can see that it will flip up, and I could try to reduce that and go further down. So it doesn't like that. Alright, so we go away about 2.5 mil in the radius. So sometimes with these fiddly details like this, you may need to override the bend radius slightly, as you can see there, to get that bend in the tail. And if we zoom out, we've now created this very complex design. I just go through a few stages. You could add additional bends, so I could bend out sort of the ankles a little bit if I wanted to. And if we click on here, we've got, if I zoom out, we've got the overall net of flat drawing. This includes all the bends, so if I hover over anything on the model, it highlights on here, and again if I zoom in and hover and select any of this, again it highlights it on there as well. And we can export that, and we could easily laser cut it if we wish, say something like acrylic, or we could send it, and if we are fortunate enough, we could have a plasma cutter. We could cut that out and then have a go bending it, or even do that by hand by printing it off and create a paper template and then cutting it out by hand and bending it in that way as well. Thanks for watching, and if you found this content helpful, please click like and subscribe, and also check out any other resources and videos created using the links in the description. I'll see you on the next one.